If you're a beginner guitar player, learning some classic riffs from your favorite artists and bands is a great way to kickstart your guitar playing and help you progress as a player on your instrument. In this video, we're going to learn 10 classic rock riffs for beginners. All of these riffs are relatively easy to play. They will have some challenges, but they're easy enough that even if you're a brand new player, you should be able to pick these up, or at least pick part of them up, and help you improve on the guitar. There's going to be a couple of different skills explored through these riffs, so we're going to be using some chords, some power chords, some single notes, some string skips, and a bunch of other cool techniques as we go along as well. All of these riffs are designed just to give you something to work on and to help you progress to that next level of playing the guitar. This video today is brought to you in partnership with musicradar.com. If you want to read up about all these riffs, there's a link down below in the description. There is a written accompaniment to this lesson, so you can scroll down, hit that link, and it'll take you over to the Music Radar website, and you can read all about all these riffs that I'm going to talk to you about today. All the tones that you're going to hear in this video are coming from just two guitars. This Gibson SG Standard that I'm holding in my hands right now is going to be my humbucker guitar of choice. And then when I need some single coil tones, I'm going to be using this LT Custom Guitars Custom T, which is a Tele style guitar. That's going to be my single coil guitar. The amp I'm using for this is this one in the middle, right behind me here. You can just see it over my shoulder. That is the brand new Black Star Debut 50, and that is mic'd up with a Lewitt Audio LCT 440 condenser microphone. Riff number one is the riff from the Cream song Sunshine of Your Love, and it goes like this. Now this is a great riff to start with because it just plays single notes. We're actually working from the D string down to the E string in this riff. We're starting at the 12th fret of the D. Notice I went to that 10 there as well, so 12, 12, 10, 12. Then we're coming to the A string, and we're doing 3 notes in a row, 12, 11, 10. Then the trickiest little part of the riff is the ending bit, because what we're doing here is we're playing a lower note on the low E string, so it doesn't really matter what note. I'm going to go from the 8, and all I'm doing is I'm sliding that note to the 10th fret. Now the reason I need to go lower is because I want that sound of the note sliding in. Just like that. So it doesn't matter how far down I go, but obviously we don't want to go too far, so I'm just going to go for the 8th fret like I said. I'm going to slide to that 10. I'm going to play the 8 here on the A string. I'm going to pull the string down just slightly, just to raise the pitch a very small amount, and then I'm going to hit that 10th fret on the E twice more. See that little pitch move on that 8th fret? And then all together. And full speed. Riff number 2 is the AC/DC riff, Highway to Hell. This uses just 3 chords, A, D, and G, and it goes like this. So for this riff, we're using just 3 chords. We're using an A major chord. You'll notice I played that by barring with my first finger. Then we're using a D chord, but I'm playing an F sharp note in the bass with my thumb like so. Now you can just play a regular D. If you can't quite stretch that F sharp, don't worry, just play a regular D chord. But if you can, use your thumb to play that low F sharp. And a G chord, which is played without the index finger. So we're playing the 3rd on the low E, the 3rd on the B, and the 3rd on the E. So the riff starts with 3 hits on the A. Then we're doing the D with the F sharp and the bass twice to the G. And again. And again. On the 2nd and 3rd times there's a smaller gap in between the D to the G. See, that change there is much quicker. Then we're doing the D once more, and then 2 hits on the A. So here's that one played slowly. So we've got A, D to G, then D to A, and then the riff would go round again. So here it is at full speed. The third riff we're going to learn is the Deep Purple riff for Smoke on the Water, and it sounds like this. So this riff is made up of a bunch of 2-string chords known as dyads. So what I'm doing here is any fret that I play, I'm playing the same fret on the string below it. So I'm starting off on the 5th fret of the A string, which means I'm also playing the 5th fret of the D string. Now finger-wise, you can kind of use whatever's comfortable here. I'm going to be using my 3rd finger to start, but if this is easier to start with a different finger, by all means do that. The original version of this song was actually not recorded with a pick, it was played fingerstyle, but we're going to play this with a pick today because if you are a beginner guitar player, you probably haven't done too much fingerstyle work yet, so we'll just stick with a plectrum. So the 5th on the A and D strings, the 3rd on the D and G, and the 5th on the D and G. So that's our first phrase. Our second phrase starts off the same, so it starts on the A and D, goes to the 3rd on the D and G, but then it does the 6 and the 5 on the D and G as well. So we've got the 3rd part is the same as the 1st part, and the riff ends by going back to the 3 on the D and G, the 5 on the A and D. So slowly all put together. And then once more at full speed. Riff number 4 is a really fun riff by the Rolling Stones. This is called I Can't Get No Satisfaction. So this is a really easy riff. This is all on the A string and it's just 3 notes. The 2nd fret of the A, then I'm going 2, 4, 5 on the A string. Then we're going to add some techniques into this. So I'm playing the 5th on the A twice, but on the 2nd time I'm pulling off to the 4. So I'm playing the 5, but my index finger is already placed on the 4th fret of the A string beneath it, and I'm pulling off that note. So you notice that 4th fret note is sounded by that pull-off motion. And I'm playing that 4 once more and sliding it down to the 2. And that's all there is to that riff. So slowly. And then full speed. The 5th riff that we're going to learn is the riff from the Creedence Clearwater Revival song Bad Moon Rising. It sounds like this. So this riff starts with 2 emphasized hits on the D chord. You really want those to pop through. Then we're doing 3 quick strums, up, down, up. The A chord, I'm barring it here, but you can just play it traditionally. And you're doing doing the same thing. 2 hits on A, 2 hits on G. It's quite loose, but really you want to emphasize the 2 hits on each chord. That's your kind of hook in the riff there. So we've got those quick little strums that just connect the chords. Then it does 2 more hits on the D. But then we're doing the same rhythm. So we're going 2 hits, up, down, up, 2 hits, up, down, up. So it's a 2-part riff. So part 1, and then part 2. And here's them both together slowly. And then at full speed. The 6th riff that we're going to learn is from the early Fleetwood Mac song, Albatross, and it goes like this. Alright, so this one is a little trickier. There are some challenges in this one. It's not the hardest riff to play, but there's a lot going on, as you saw there. So we're basically doing a few different things here. There's a single note line, which is like a melody line that kind of flows around, and then there's 2 chords that we're playing. So we're starting off by playing the 2nd fret on the A string. Then here come the 2 chords now. So we're playing the 5th on the B and E, and the 6th on the G. And then we're barring across the 4th fret on all 3 of those strings as well. So the G, B, and E. So those are my 2 chords. So it'll play that twice like I just played then. Then we're playing the 2nd fret again in the same way we did in the intro, but this time I'm just adding a quick open low E before it. So basically playing the same phrase again, but there's a slight difference this time. Obviously I played that open low E first, then I played the chords, but then before playing the chords again I played the open low E once more. So it's only a subtle open low E, but it is there on the track. Then we come into the bulk of the melody line. So starting with a slide from the 2 to the 4 on the A string. You can do this with your 3rd finger because you're going to need your index finger to play the 2nd fret on the D. So I'm going 2 to 4 with a slide, 2 on the D, 4 on the A again. 4 on the D, I'm sliding it up to the 6 and back. 4 on the A twice. Then that slide on the 4 to the 6 again on the D. So that's... Then we're going into this phrase, so we're doing 2 to the 4 on the A, 4 again, and then 4 on the D, and then 2 on the D. Then the ending phrase is 4 on the D, 2 on the A, then D, and the open low E to finish. So let me just play through that melody section once more. So there's quite a lot going on there, as I said. You will need to take your time when you're learning this. Even though it's not that hard to play, there's a lot to remember. So I'm going to play it through slowly now. once more at full speed. Riff number 7 is the Led Zeppelin riff, Heartbreaker, and it goes like this. So this is a really cool rock riff. This uses single notes again, played with a groove. There's a couple of little bends in there as well, which is quite fun. So the riff starts with a long, slow bend on the 3rd fret of the low E string. Now, if you listen to the record, this is just kind of like a setup note. It's not really part of the riff, but if you hear the track, it is on there. So we're playing that note, and we're just bending it, not that far, but we're bending it slowly. Just like that to get that kind of sound. The riff really kicks in on the next bit. So we're going back to that bend. So what we're doing there is we're playing open and 3 on the A string, open 1, 2 on the D, then we're back to that 3rd fret on the low E with the bend. That bend is kind of integral to the groove of the riff. Then we're doing the same thing, but this time we're using the A string like this. We're giving it 4 notes, and then giving that 3rd on the A a little bend. But that second half of the riff is exactly the same. So let's just play that together. So the riff's got a really cool groove to it. It's not that tight. It's quite a loose feeling riff, so don't worry about it being really kind of metronomic. You can be quite loose with this riff. So here's how it sounds slow. And then once more at full speed. Riff number 8 is a really fun David Bowie riff. This is for the track Rebel Rebel, and it goes like this. So this riff is really fun because we're actually playing some higher notes in this riff. So we start off with an open D string, and we're sliding to the 5th fret of the B, but you also want to play the high E open, so you get this drone. You're actually getting 2 of the same note there because the 5th on the B and the open E are the same, but that drone creates a nice sound. 3rd fret on the B, still with the open E drone, 2nd on the B with the open E drone, and then open B and E. Notice I'm cutting those ones short as well, so I'm not going... I'm using my fretting hand to mute the strings, just to cut them short. Then we're playing an open low E, but you want to cut this short as well, so you don't want this to ring. So play it, and then just get your palm to lock that note down. 2nd on the B, pull that off to the open. 1 on the G, 2 on the D. And then the next note is an open D, which takes you back to the start of the riff. So all together. full speed. Riff number 9 is the really fun blues shuffle intro from the track Tush by ZZ Top. So this is a really fun shuffle riff. We're starting off with the 3rd fret of the low E, playing that palm muted twice. Then we're going to some of those double stops or those dyad chords that we learned in Smoke on the Water. These are going to be on the D and G strings. That's going to be the 5th and the 3rd frets. So what I'm doing there is I'm alternating. So I'm doing 2 of this low G, the dyad on the 5th, back to that 3rd, and then 5, 3 with the dyads. The second time I'm doing the same thing again, but without playing the 3rd fret twice. Just got a slightly different groove on the second time. Then on every repeat then, instead of playing the 3rd fret twice, like we did on the first time, we're sliding from the 1st fret, which is an F note, back into that G. It's basically the same thing, but we're just changing that first note and how the groove of that flows. So here's how that sounds slowly all put together. So you may notice what I'm doing with my fingers there as I'm playing this. I'm always playing anything on the 3rd fret with my index finger. Now for the 5th fret, you can use your 3rd finger or your little finger. I'm using my little finger predominantly. So when I'm going to that double stop on the 3rd, I'm just shifting my finger. Rather than playing a different finger, I'm just doing that with my index finger. So my index finger is kind of bouncing from the low E to the D and the G strings. So the fingering of that is quite tricky. It can take a little while to get used to. Start slow with that one and then build it up to full speed, which sounds like this. And the 10th and final riff is the fastest one in this lesson, and this is Life in the Fast Lane by the Eagles, and it goes like this. So this riff is quite quick. Joe Walsh from the Eagles wrote this riff as a warm-up exercise, so it's actually great to play this riff slowly and build it up. This is a very sort of slippery feeling riff. Nothing feels rigid about this riff. We're always kind of sliding and kind of moving quickly to other places. So starting with a hammer-on the A string from the 5th to the 7th. Now we want to kind of keep our hand in one uniform position for this. So try and aim for your index finger to cover the 5th fret and your 3rd finger to cover the 7th. So we're going 5 to 7 with the hammer-on. But then from that hammer, we're rolling that finger flat. So we play the 7 on the D and then the 7 on the A again. 5 on the D with a little quarter tone bend. Then we're going 7 and 5 on the A string. 7 on the E with a quick slide down to the 5. 3rd fret with a little quarter tone bend to the open low E. So it's quite a slippery feeling line. You can see how I'm not really kind of rigidly sticking to any notes there. Very, very fast, but very fluid sounding. So when you're doing this one, start slow. The timing of that last slide is also really important. So when you hit that last 7 on the low E, you want to get to that 5 straight away. You don't want this, because if you do that, the riff will sound like this. And that extra kind of hang on that 7th fret makes the riff sound wrong. You want to hit that note and slide it immediately, almost before you've even finished picking. Really, it's just about the impact of sliding into that 5th fret. The second half of the riff is exactly the same, but we're going like this. And instead of going to the open, we're just playing that 3rd fret with a bend and then cutting the string dead. So then the other side of this is the timing. Every other time, that second half of the riff moves slightly closer to the first. So the first time it'll sound like this. Where that second part falls on the 1. So it's 1, 1. But on the second time, the second part of that riff comes into the first bar. It actually starts on the and of the 4. So it's a little bit more rushed feeling on that second time. So if you play the two together, you can hear how that second time is just a little bit more pushed into that first time. So start slow. Here's how it sounds all the way through slowly. And then once more at full speed. So there you go, there are 10 classic rock riffs for beginner guitar players to get stuck into. Like I said, each of these riffs will give you a different challenge that will help you push on to that next level of your guitar playing. Let me know down below in the comments how you got on with learning these riffs, which riffs out of this list were your favorites, and if there's any cool riffs you think should have been included in this list, let me know about those down below as well. Don't forget there is a link down below in the description where you can head over to the Music Radar website and check out the written accompaniment for this video. That will tell you everything you need to know about all the riffs I've talked about in this lesson today. Don't forget to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you're new here as well. And like I said, let me know how you got on down below in the comments. I'd love to hear how you have gotten on learning these really cool classic rock riffs. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you very, very soon.